Hello and welcome to another edition of Y-PAC Check-ins. I'm your host, Sean Davido, and today I'm joined by Randy Beehler, the Communications and Public Affairs Director for the City of Yakima. Thanks for joining me today, Randy.
Thanks, Sean. It's been a while since we've had a chance to talk.
It has been a while, and actually I was looking back. It's almost the 1-year anniversary. We did our very first check-in on April 3rd last year, so I've done 24 of these programs since then.
That's awesome.
It's been quite a year. Let's talk a little bit about that. It has been a year since many of the city facilities have closed. Things are slowly getting back to a more normal or a new normal. Can you talk just a little bit about where we're at and the city is at with that?
Well, some of the city's public facilities have opened back up to limited attendance in just the last couple of months. So, for example, Lions Pool was closed for most of last year. Also, the Harmon Senior Center was closed for most of last year. Those have opened now to smaller capacity crowds. We also, at the Yakima Police Department, didn't provide concealed pistol license processing for a good portion of last year. That is now available again, has been for the last several weeks by appointment. Other facilities of the cities, like City Hall, for example, remain closed to the public. When those facilities will reopen is really undetermined at this point. It will really depend a lot on what happens within the next few weeks, next couple of months, with regard to hospitalization rates, infection rates, et cetera, connected to COVID. We are making progress for sure in the state, across the country, and in Yakima County, but we're not there yet. The vaccination rate in Yakima County still is below 20%. And until we get to a place where we have greater numbers of people vaccinated, the facilities that are operated by the city that usually attract large crowds are likely to remain closed. For example, we have not made a decision yet about Franklin Pool. Fisher Golf Course is open again, but to limited crowds. But you get physical distancing, social distancing at a golf course as opposed to a pool. So we're undetermined right now as to whether Franklin Pool will open this year or not. We're just kind of in a holding pattern with a lot of the facilities that the city operates because we're just not quite there yet. I don't feel like we're making a lot of progress, and I know people are anxious to get back to some, as you said, some sense of normal or a new sense of normal. But we still do urge people to be cautious, even if you're fully vaccinated. Please be cautious. We're just not quite there yet.
Right. And there are more opportunities for vaccination. I know they've opened a large mass vaccination clinic down at the State Fair Park. Can you talk a little bit about that and who's running that? And it's sort of a unique thing in our area and across the country, right?
It is. It's one of the few FEMA-funded, fully FEMA Federal Emergency Management Agency sites in the country. And the reason why Yakima was chosen is couplefold. One is our relatively low-income population, and another is our large population of ag workers. Those are often two populations that are left out of these kinds of opportunities. So FEMA recently opened this mass vaccination site at State Fair Park with a ton of resources. I mean, they have the Army there. They have a lot of emergency agencies participating, not just from Yakima, but from all across the state. Their goal is to vaccinate 1,200 people per day. And at this point, it's close to that. They're getting more and more folks into that facility as it becomes better known. And some of the concerns that people may have about vaccinations in general, but certainly in specific a mass vaccination site, as some of those concerns are alleviated, I think that's contributing to larger numbers of people going there to get vaccinated. The great thing about that vaccination site is those shots are free. I know they're free at a lot of other vaccination sites as well. The process that is set up at State Fair Park, you never even have to get out of your car. There are also is a walk-up opportunity, but if you drive through, you never have to get out of your car. It's a pretty easy and process, and it doesn't take very long. I've gone through it, and it's just an opportunity for us to help get our community to a point where we can begin to feel more normal. We can begin to open up our economy and feel safe doing so.
Right. Now let's talk about some of the essential services. The city still has and has always been providing essential services, garbage pickup, things like that. Can you talk a little bit about that? And that will continue, right? That's not going to slow down or change at all.
No, absolutely. All of the essential services that the city provides, from paying your water bill to filing a building permit, paying the court if you have to have fines or fees that you owe the court. All of those services have remained available, but it's been an interesting time. I'll tell you, it's been an opportunity, I think, for the city to look at how some of its processes work and make a transition to doing a lot more stuff, not in person, but online or on the phone or even through mail or drop boxes. Coming up here pretty soon at City Hall, there will be a kiosk that is going to be located outside in front of City Hall on 2nd Street. It will allow the opportunity for people to pay water bills and dog licenses, that kind of thing. Kind of like an ATM. You can pay it with cash, you can pay with debit card, you can even put a check in, and then you don't even have to come into City Hall. And that will be a significant change that came about really and was precipitated by COVID. We also have, like I was talking earlier about concealed pistol licenses. Well, we're doing that by appointment. We've been doing planning review and building permit filing by appointment. And as I said, it's been this opportunity to kind of re-look at our processes and modernize them and make it even a more convenient customer service experience.
And that includes City Hall and City Council meetings. Many of our meetings are virtual and streamed, and there was some change in how public comment and the public can participate. Can you talk a little bit about that change and how it works now?
Well, I know that there are a lot of folks, including our council members, who are anxious to get back to the point where we have meetings in person. There's just something that's kind of fundamental about being able to participate in the democratic process in person. But as I mentioned before, we're not quite there yet. We don't feel confident that we could do that safely. So we have been conducting meetings for the council via Zoom. And for a long time, the council was not accepting public comment during their meetings because of the challenges that it naturally presented trying to do that. But we have worked that out now, and there's an opportunity for people to provide public comment at council regular meetings, and they can do that by filing a request form, a public comment request form online on the city's website. Pretty easy to do, and people are making use of it. They are finding that is a simple, convenient, easy way to do it. They can do it from their home. They can participate in a meeting without having to come all the way down to City Hall. And it's worked out pretty well, but I know that eventually, hopefully sooner rather than later, we'll get back to having those meetings in person.
Right. Now, there's some exciting stuff coming up with some road projects within the city of Yakima. The Nelson Dam project is ramping up and will be underway soon. Can you talk a little bit about some of the public works things and some of the projects that are going on? Yeah,
you know, what you're really talking about, I know it's a kind of a industry, local government, or I guess just government buzz term, infrastructure. But infrastructure is so key to how we operate as a community. We're talking about roads and water and sewer and stormwater systems. We're talking about, in the case that you mentioned about Nelson Dam, we're talking about our irrigation system. Probably one of the biggest infrastructure projects that's going on right now is out at the old Boise Cascade Mill site. And, you know, people have for years wondered, well, what's going on with that? And we just want to remind folks that that property is privately owned. It's not owned by the city. And so a lot of what happens on that site is dictated by the owners, by the people who own that private property. Well, finally, after years and years of work and trying to find funding and going through environmental reviews, there is a portion now at the mill site that's being cleaned up. It actually runs through a portion of an old city landfill, and that will become the new extension of Bravo Company Boulevard. We anticipate construction, actual construction on that roadway section will begin next year. And that's pretty exciting. Meantime, the county, Yakima County, is working on its east-west corridor connector from Mountain Terrace Heights. It will eventually come across I-82 and down into the old mill site. And eventually, it will hopefully connect all the way to Fruitvale. It's kind of hard to picture how that runs through there, but it kind of goes up H Street and then across, a long ways across. But that will become another major transportation corridor in the city. Another big project that people are going to see, because it's going to be very obvious, is phase 2 of the North First Street renovation and improvement project. A couple of years ago, phase 1 was done. That was from Highway 12 to about N Street. And then last year, because of some concerns that were in place because of a decision that was made about the Transportation Benefit District car cab fees, that we kind of held off last year doing phase 2. That question has been answered now, and so we're moving ahead with phase 2, which runs from N Street to about J Street. So if you think of where is J Street, I Street, the intersection of I and North First Street, Jack in the Box, there's an AM PM, El Rinconcito, and Red Lobster are right there. Next year is when we hope to complete that project with phase 3, and it will go all the way from J Street to MLK. Big project, it's sidewalk lighting, landscaping, but also key to that is the infrastructure underground, the pipes, the water, the sewer, the stormwater. A lot of that infrastructure was really old. I mean, even some was 100 years old, is 100 years old. So replacing that also helps to spur economic development, because you have the services. Finally, those property owners will have the full slate of services there with the appropriate amount of capacity. And then another big project that is going to be going on here really soon is out by Sozo. It's Spring Creek Road. That's the road that accesses the Sozo Sports Complex. And that road is right now a 2-lane road and culverts on each side. That will all be improved to really make access to Sozo a lot more convenient. I guess the last one I'll mention, because you mentioned it, is the Nelson Dam removal and replacement project. Nelson Dam is an irrigation diversion dam. It's located under what a lot of us who are from here refer to as the Twin Bridges as you head out Highway 12, heading towards Natchez, heading towards the Sun Tides Golf Course, right there. Just as you kind of get a little bit outside the city of Yakima, that dam blocks the Natchez River right there and diverts irrigation water into the city of Yakima. Well, it's an old dam. It's basically a wall of concrete, and it has affected fish passage. It's affected sediment deposits. It's affected the riparian zone. That's the term for kind of the river corridor. And so the idea is to remove Nelson Dam, replace it with something that is not as impactful. We'll still get the irrigation water that we need, but it will have less impact on the environment. It will open up an additional about 300 miles of spawning grounds for various fish species. It's a really great project, probably going to get that underway a little bit later on this year. And it's going to take several years to complete.
Now, these are some areas that people, if they're traveling, they might want to avoid some of these areas. There might be some road construction, it might slow things down. So that's some areas that people might want to take a different route, take a detour sometimes.
For sure, especially North First Street is going to be one of those that, we'll never close North First Street completely during this project or any of the phases, but it will be down to 1 lane in each direction. And I know that some people, there isn't another path that they could follow to get out to, like, for instance, Sela or access I-82, although you could take one of the other exits. out to I-82. But if you have to go down there, what we ask is that, be patient. Yakima is not all that familiar in the last several decades with large transportation infrastructure projects. We've had small ones here and there, but this is a pretty major project and it will impact traffic, but sooner rather than later, it'll be over. And boy, the improvement's going to be worth it.
Wonderful. Now we should give some people some information where they can find information from the City of Yakima. Can you talk a little bit about where they can find some of this information? Some of the online services are available on our city website, correct?
Yeah, certainly the city's website at yakimawa.gov is the primary portal into the city. It's fairly easy to find, especially right now and for the last year. Right below big picture at the very top that we call the banner photo, there are a couple of little, 3 actually smaller images below that. And one of them, by clicking on that, you'll go directly to our online services page and can see a lot of the services that we offer there and make use of them. But we also encourage folks to follow us on social media. We do a lot of posting to social media as different projects develop, as services become available. That's a great source of information. And of course, we also publish, our office publishes, the Community Relations Office publishes a monthly e-newsletter. A lot of good information in there, important links to services and to other information in the city. So all of these sources together kind of combine to hopefully give people an easy way to interact with the city and to get information about what's going on in the city.
Right, and people can watch this program and other
Absolutely.
programs on our YouTube channel and also on Y-PAC channel 194 on Charter Cable. And that's a great way for people to stay involved. If they want to know what's going on with the City of Yakima, go use these resources and stay informed.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've talked about a lot of stuff. Is there anything else on your mind that you would like to share with our viewers?
Sometimes I think I feel a little bit like a broken record when it comes to COVID. And I mentioned it before that it does feel, we all are beginning, I think, to feel a sense of relief. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel here, but we still have a ways to go. We still have a path to travel here to get all the way back to where we want to be. And that comes through everybody in the community being diligent and being aware of how your behavior may affect others. This community has done a good job through the last year. We went from, if you think about it, when you and I talked early last year, early in the COVID emergency, we were at like 35% mask wearing. And just in a few weeks after that information was put out to the community, man, that bumped up to 95%. We do have people here in the Yakima community. I mean, we all care. We all care about each other, and that's critical. That's been critical for the last year, and we just got to continue to keep doing that. The more we do it, the faster we're going to get through this, and the sooner we can get back to life as we would like it.
Right. Well, I want to thank you very much for everything you do for our community, for the City of Yakima, and thank you for joining me today on the program also.
You bet, Sean. I appreciate it, and congratulations on 24 of these check-ins over the last year. It's a valuable service, and we appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much. It's been a challenge, and to do these things has been quite a learning process. And thank you for helping me get through that process.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and thank you all for joining us today.